how far can you forecast in general, like reliably?
So reliably, I think with 100 data points, we can make forecast for 1 year. So about that's why we make forecast for 2024. Now that we are in the first week of January, if there are any divergences, we try to fix them. But what we have seen so far is that 3 to 6 months out is good, because we, even though we publish them at weekly level, we have a model which checks the price action at a monthly level as well. So that helps us maintain that accuracy.
Hi everyone. So today we have CryptoWeeklies with us, and let him introduce himself.
Thanks for the opportunity, Hassan. My name is Josh, and I'm a creator of Crypto Weeklies. We on the channel provide price-based forecast using our AI model, and we tend to forecast the base case, the bull case, and the bear case for cryptos. We use techniques, machine learning techniques such as ARIMA and LSTM and other neural network-based approaches. And we try to stick to the AI-based forecast for top 100 cryptos right now. We periodically monitor if there are any deviation between our forecast and actuals, and try to update our AI model with the recent data to stay in line with the expectation of our forecast and the actuals. So that's a bit about our channel. And personally, I am a data analyst and data scientist by background. I have been doing this channel for about 1 year now. So learning every day about newer and better approaches of AI and how it can be applied to crypto related forecasts. So that's something I'm passionate about. That's a little introduction about me.
Thank you so much. So, as you are in the space, how long do you think this have been like going on, this AI pairing with technical analysis? How long has it been going? Is it like a
I
recent
think
phenomenon?
I think the AI, several approaches within AI and machine learning have been used for not just forecasting crypto price action, but just in any time series. So if there is a historical price, and it doesn't even have to be price. If there is historical data and if there are patterns, the forecast using AI-based approach can be applied for several use cases. One is definitely crypto pricing, then weather, and other economic data. So that has been going along for at least 1 decade now. But now with the recent advances in machine learning and neural networks, there are several approaches as opposed to just using statistics. So that
So
those are
what
some.
would you like? Let's say, for example, there is like several approaches. What would you say the top approaches, or like the most common ones?
The most common one that I am seeing are forecasting are definitely ARIMA, which stands for Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average. Is kind of an
Just a
approach
second.
where.
Is it okay if you like break it down for normies, like just if someone is not into the space, if you break down the
Sure.
mean?
Sure. For by autoregressive moving average, I mean, like we have moving averages on platforms such as TradingView, which can be bracketed into simple moving average, which takes an average of price action for the last 10 or 20 weeks or 50 weeks, or at a daily level. That can also be fitted as an algorithm in terms of its AI and machine learning. And we look at historical price action. We try to determine the trend behind the price action. So it could be, removing the hyper bullish scenario and hyper bearish scenario, and trying to fit a trend line using AI based approach. So that is actually that is how we get that AI recommended price line. And we build on top of that price line. We try to add a couple of standard deviations to the upside and to the downside to see what could be a theoretical floor, a theoretical ceiling for price action. And that's the gist.
So would you say like this algorithm is like passively used, or do you have to update it continuously, like its own, it's the underlying concept?
Yes. So there are there are certain assumptions or certain criteria that need to be fit. For example, it need at least 100 data points. It needs to be statistically significant, and it has to pass certain tests, so that the forecasts that are created using these algorithms are of some use, or are not just mostly overfitted or underfitted. So those kind of considerations are to be taken care of. And once enough testing or back testing has been done, there are certain scenarios where, especially in a market such as cryptocurrency, where the price actions are very volatile in nature. There are instances where, let's say, after one quarter or couple of quarters, we have to check if there are any significant divergences with what we forecasted and what the actuals are there. And we have to keep on acknowledging that if there are any errors, we update those models along the way. So that's how. And to overcome that challenge, what we on the channel have done, that we have started with, when we launched the channel, we looked at monthly data, so that we get the maximum benefit of tuning out the noise. That, like, for example, like minute by minute candles might have severe undulations and overpricing and underpricing at a minute level, or let's say an hourly level. But once you average it out at a monthly level, the impact of those outliers are diminished. So similar considerations have been incorporated now that we have moved to a weekly granularity.
I
Sorry?
assume this is all done automatically, like this. Yeah, hello,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes. Yes, the algorithm itself
Hello.
runs automatically.
Yeah.
It's coded in Python, which is kind of like the bread and butter machine learning language. And yes, the weights of the models are uh, automatically. So there is very minimal opinion or very minimal tasks which require human interaction. It's just spot checking. It's just making sure that whatever forecast of the AI model are in line with what has happened historically. So that's where we look at past market cycle. We check, let's say in 2021 crypto was in a bull market, that and if we correlate that with a 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, we cannot say that, the next year, which historically is a neutral to bullish year, we cannot apply the weights which were of a bear market year. So just making sure that the time series and the expectations based on the historical performance are consistent, and it's not like inverse of what technically should happen based on our historic behavior. Because one consideration when we run those models is that we remove all seasonality from the data, but when we are making forecasts, we have to add that seasonality back so that the forecasts are of some use for our audience.
But does this work on like a specific type of assets, or all assets? Like, for example, let's say you have only a few assets that fit the criteria that can work with this algorithm, or is like compatible with a lot of crypto assets?
Yeah, so in our experience, what we have found that the cryptos, let's say, which have had at least price action of 100 weeks, and by that I mean like a little under 2 years since their launch, they are a good candidate as long as we have consistent price action. I think most of the top 100 cryptos meet that criteria. Again, there is no point in making forecasts for stable coins, so we do not make forecasts because it's assumed that barring few outliers, they have a close affinity towards maintaining that peg to US dollar.
How
So
does the trading take place? Like the you also connect this algorithm with like a trading platform, like let's say Binance or something, or do you just forecast only like trends using this algorithm?
yeah, the first goal is to forecast the trend, because that is the tough part. Because what happens is, you might have seen on several technical analysis platform, especially for crypto, either the logarithmic regression approach is used, or an estimation is used to find the trend behind the price action. But getting a straight line, or what is often called as a fair value line, is the tough part. So once that is achieved, then making assumptions such as what could be a price action in bull market or bear market is something that we leave towards to our audience to figure out, because we do not want to give our opinion, oh, this will happen tomorrow or this will happen the day after tomorrow, because that's not how AI based forecasts ideally work. It's just we sample it, we model it, and then we give the forecast could look like, or ceiling could
So
look like.
So when you say AI, is like a machine learning model, or is it like a maybe like a specific algorithm that's running?
It's a machine learning model because it incorporates all the training data, such as model and weights and price action, and it performs several statistical analysis on those data points. And but the end goal is always price forecast. There are several other use cases, such as finding out the risk, or sentiment associated with crypto that we can do with machine learning. But right now the focus is exclusively on price forecast, because I think that is one of the most widely required use case in this market. As the market matures, maybe we'll think of other use cases. But yeah,
So
price is important.
do you publish this findings or this analysis somewhere, or how do the users usually access this data? Is it just through the YouTube, or is like some other platform or a system that they can use it for?
So for now, we have kept it at only accessible via YouTube, because as I mentioned earlier, some of the findings or the videos that we publish, the models are updated as and when we see any divergences between our forecast and actuals. But as our community grows, and if as and when we have substantial bandwidth to create, let's say, a standalone tool where we publish our findings, that is in works. And the way we have created those forecasts can be uploaded to a website if we think that that is one direction that we could incorporate in the future.
And normally, do you have like in the background, does this system, like for example, you said about divergence and all this, is this divergence or this verification done manually? So the algorithm obviously already, as you explained, is done automatically, but validation of this algorithm, is there another algorithm validating it, or do you just validate it based on the actual market data manually?
As of now, manually. I look at it. If there is divergence, there are some alerts that there are scripts for alerts for my own edification. And then if once I see those divergences, I go ahead and check them manually.
So normally, how much is the divergence are we talking about? Like how much percentages is usually the divergence when it happens?
In some cases it's really accurate. So even like at as accurate as the decimal points. But there are instances where it's common to have like 10 to 20% divergence between the forecast and actuals. But the trend could be the trend is captured pretty fairly. But what could happen, for example, we forecast it would go like price for one crypto would go to $15, but it ends up going to $20 or $12. So but definitely the price, if when we make the video, if it's at $10, it doesn't go to $8. So the direction is more or less the same, but the magnitude changes. And that's the divergence I'm referring.
I see. So right now, for example, you can see the movement in the market. There was like an upward movement this past week, and then there was like some downward movement. Does the algorithm like detect how far can you forecast in general, like reliably?
So reliably, I think with 100 data points, we can make forecast for 1 year. So about that's why we make forecast for 2024 now that we are in the first week of January. But then, as I mentioned earlier, if there are any divergences, we try to fix them. But what we have seen so far is that 3 to 6 months out is good, because we, even though we publish them at weekly level, we have a model which checks the price action at a monthly level as well. So that helps us maintain that accuracy.
So when you say you have like a forecast ability to maybe 6 months or 1 year ahead, do you mean
Yeah.
the last data point, or do you mean you can forecast the movements throughout the, let's say for example, you are going weekly, so you can forecast the weekly movements 1 year ahead?
Yeah, the weekly movements 1 year ahead.
So would you say like so this is the most popular algorithm that you mentioned about I think it's built on weighted averages, is it, or what is it the
Yes.
most, what is the
uh,
second most popular one?
Yes, the first one was ARIMA. The second one I've seen is LSTM, which stands for long short-term memory. It is kind of how human think in terms of a neural network, having a forget cell which triggers on certain conditions, and there are some long-term understanding of price action. So, for example, it could be a long-term look back of what happened 4 years ago, but that stays with us for a longer time as opposed to what happened 2 weeks ago. And then all of that is weighed together to create a machine learning or neural network based forecast. And for this particular algorithm, what we have seen is it takes almost 100 epochs, and one epoch is about 1 minute long. So about 100 minutes to train that algorithm, because it has a lot of permutation and combination running behind the screens. And it is one of the classical machine learning algorithms which we incorporate time and again on the channel, especially when we are trying to determine what could be the direction for a particular crypto in let's say next year.
So what do you think is like, what is like just like a general opinion? Obviously, like we cannot give financial advice or anything, but I'm just thinking, like, do you feel that what we are in now is like, is it a bull market or is it a bear market in general? Like the sentiments that you feel.
Uh, I haven't done a sentiment related analysis, but like from a price perspective, especially since I have been making videos daily on a daily basis for the last couple of weeks, the videos that I have been making are pointing to at least the line that I mentioned, the trend line. That means that at least the trend forecasted by the AI model for most of the top 10 or 20 cryptos is pointing towards a bullish or a sideways motion. So it could be as the gains for this year could be as less as 5 to 10% in certain cases, as opposed to 50 to 100% in other cases. So that's the general trend behind the trend. And again, that one of the reason for that could be again 2024 is historically speaking the year of Bitcoin halving based on the four-year cycle, and that also is an input parameter for our model. So yeah.
Do you take into account also like the market inflows and outflows from exchanges, and also from recently we had like an ETF approved? So do you take also this inflows into account? Like do you calculate it or just focus on the price only?
No, we focus on price, and the reason that we do not focus on inflows and outflows is because as we in our algorithm we think about weekly averages, the impact of those inflows, uh, because we are working at that higher level granularity, gets often reflected into the price action. We might miss a candle or two, but eventually, if we are looking at a week's worth of average price, that usually reflects in price action. But that's a fair point to consider, that some at a lower granularity, let's say if we are forecasting what could happen tomorrow, then definitely we would need to look at things such as inflows and outflows.
I see. So I think maybe like if I understand correctly, the algorithm, is it tailored for the longer term trades, or is it like the shorter term?
I would say longer term.
I see.
Mostly we have attempted to curtail it to as less as 10 weeks, but the utility that we see so far, the maximum utility that we see so far is its ability to forecast longer term than shorter term.
So would you say this is the main feedback from the community, or what is the general feedback from your community, from the community about this method of forecasting?
I think the community is more interested in the longer term forecast, because I remember when we started out the channel, we made a forecast for like 2 market cycles away from 2023. So about 2020, what could happen in 2027, 2020, sorry, 2030. So that I think that was the appetite. But again, this can also be just an anecdotal evidence, because the time that we made those forecasts was like the depths of the bear market. So again, at that point, maybe the community was more interested in let's say a longer term outlook. But as I think that might change as we move towards like halving, and as you mentioned, that the approval of spot ETF recently. So maybe that outlook might push us to making a shorter term AI based forecast. And that's definitely on horizon.
And maybe also the point you mentioned about like estimating the risk as well, not just the price. Maybe yeah, that will be also helpful in the bull market because people are
Uh,
worried that
yeah,
there
yeah.
is a.
Thanks. Point well taken.
Okay, so like for you, you think like you mentioned that you might in the future consider like having a platform to showcase this maybe in an updated cycle. Actually, we have like CoinExams. Basically, we are measuring the utility, but it's obviously we don't focus on the price as like yours is like very extensive and very nice. So so I advise you honestly like just maybe you should do it because you will get a lot of traffic and you can also funnel it to the YouTube channel. So right now, for the future, you think like how do you think this trend for using AI in the trading, is it going to accelerate, or maybe it's going to be stagnant and work in parallel with traditional methods or traditional bots?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the utility of AI can only on right now the way AI is developed, or at the stage of development AI or machine learning algorithms are, the utility is not standalone, but it being used along with the traditional metrics to determine trend, to determine valuation. I think that's the stage where AI algorithms are. They are not end all be all right now. And also that's why we always in our video mention that, okay, just because this was accurate for the last week doesn't mean it will stay accurate, because again, it's a nascent technology. It's not something which is so mature, but the thing is, as it is so nascent, it makes sense to explore it now and learn from it and help the community grow along with the recent developments in the technology. That is one of our reasons for launching this channel.
And for the development of such algorithms, do you use like certain libraries, or do you build stuff from scratch for this algorithm, that the one you are using?
There are some tests that are like canned, or some algorithms that we use, but most of the configuration is done by me. But yeah, it's not I'm building everything from scratch. There are like some, for example, algorithms that I mentioned, LSTM or TensorFlow, or these kind of libraries that we use. They are pre-existing solutions.
I see, very good. So how can the people get hold of you? So we have the YouTube channel. Do you have any other channels that you would recommend people to visit?
As of now, it's just the YouTube channel, and definitely as and when we have enough bandwidth to create a, let's say, a platform or a website. It could also be a simple solution such as sharing a Google Sheet or something which might help the community at least explore and create their own algorithms if they are interested in following the AI algorithm themselves. At least provide them with models and weights. That is something that we would like to do in the future. But for now, it's just a, yeah, YouTube channel.
Perfect. Then thanks so much for your time today, Josh. And yeah, have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hassan. Thank you for taking the time.